sorry.
We have our live studio audience.
Okay, you ready? Everybody ready? Ready, Max?
Born ready, 8 days early.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Sanibel Captiva Guide. I'd like you to welcome Guide Podcast. I've got to do it again because I cannot.
It's the best part.
No, it's not. Every single
It's
time.
the best part. You mess it up every single time.
Okay, I'm starting again.
I'm leaving that in.
No, you're not. We're starting again. Here we go. Ready?
All right.
I say it every time. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
Okay, here we go again. Hello, and welcome to the Sanibel Captiva Guide podcast. I'd like you to welcome our guest, Linda Arnold, the chairman of the Sanibel Shell Show. Welcome, Linda. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So basically, let's start off by explaining a little bit about what the Shell Show is and what it comprises of. How long has it been going? All the rest of it.
Shell Show has a very, very long history in Sanibel, and it was important to us to continue that tradition. So what we'll have is juried, meaning judged, exhibits for both artistic and scientific. We'll also have scavenger hunts for kids. We're going to have some vendors so people can come and shop, buy shells, they can buy crafts, they can buy creations. It's a very fun event for young and old.
So
I think that's cheating, isn't it? Buying a shell?
We call those specimen shells, meaning they're
gotcha.
extra great. You probably wouldn't just find on a beach.
Gotcha.
So basically, anything you can do with shells is you can see at these shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely for the shell lover.
The shell lover. We've saw shell authors, shell guides, and we have a friend that made a shell piece of art. David Horton. Shout out to David Horton.
Yes.
We featured shell artists.
What's that?
We featured a shell artist as well.
Yeah, we featured a shell artist.
Yeah. If anybody has not been at the Chamber of Commerce, have you seen the big heart that's covered in shells?
The Heart of Hearts was actually at our 2022
That's right.
show.
Exactly.
In the parking
Jenny
lot.
Dickinson.
Yes, it
now
was.
right. It now survived. It was in the chamber. It survived the storm, and it's there for
Lives
everybody
on at
to
the
take
chamber.
a selfie with.
Exactly.
Shelf, really? Really?
Makes you feel like a celebrity.
Yes.
A celebrity.
I couldn't resist.
No. So anyway, the Shell Show is in a different location this year. Do you want to tell us all about it and where it used to be and why the move, etc.?
Absolutely. So in March of 2024, there are going to be two events that are going on. I am the chairperson for the Shell Show, which is a long-standing event. We had to make a decision back in January about where our venue was going to be for 2024 because of courtesy of Hurricane Ian. So we made a decision to go to the Marriott, which is where we're going to be right there at the Causeway, and have our event for 2 days. At the same time, there'll be a Shell Festival going on at the community house where we used to be. We just really weren't sure that the house would be ready for us. Absolutely unequivocally, so we made the decision to change.
That makes sense. Obviously, Hurricane Ian struck in September 28th, and put a big storm surge across the island, and the community house was definitely affected, badly damaged.
Yes.
And it's been standing since
100 years.
Right,
It's a long time.
exactly.
Yes.
So, and they had just recently refurbed it too, unfortunately, a couple of years ago.
They had, and
So-
we just needed to make sure that
Right.
we had a venue because it was important after the loss of our show in 23 because of Ian that we wanted to continue the rich history of the Shell Show and make sure that we had a venue that would be ready to go for us.
And obviously the Sanibel Marriott is a beautiful location. It's actually not on Sanibel, which a lot of people get confused by because it's called the Sanibel Harbor Marriott, but it's actually before you get onto the Causeway, you turn to the right and it's down there.
Yeah, instead of going through the...
possible thing to Sanibel that's not on Sanibel.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
As close as we could be.
Yeah.
And it actually overlooks the causeway as you go through. There's always one with their phone.
Party foul.
Party foul, that was Max, but it was my phone. As you go onto the causeway, instead of going through the toll booths, you take the traffic light there, you take a right, and there's a few condo buildings, and then there's the Sanibel Harbor Marriott, beautiful hotel, and stunning views, and really, really popular after it held up after the storm, and there was a lot of workers and
Yeah, it'd be a great place to stay too if you want to come for the whole weekend.
It would be, yes.
And remind, what are the dates again?
It's going to be, the Shell Show will be March 8th and 9th of 2024.
Okay, what are hours?
Hours, we are open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. both of those days.
Gotcha. And is it a ticketed event?
You just buy, well, we ask for a $5 donation when you come into the venue, and then we'll give you a ticket which you'll present to go into the actual exhibit hall.
Very, very affordable.
Absolutely.
I think
$5.
So.
That's shell-tastic.
It is very. All right, we gotta. All right, I'm gonna ring the bell
Why are
every
you shaking
time.
your head, mate?
Shaking your head.
There's going to be some real dad jokes out here today.
There might be. There might be.
So, how long have you been involved with the show?
Well, this is a bit of a crazy part of the story because I was drafted to take over the artistic division only for the 23 show. So I apprenticed during the 22 show. So then we didn't have a 23 show.
Gotcha.
So I've never run a Shell show before.
So you've gone from artistic director to directing the entire event.
Yeah,
Wow.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
But I do have a history of organizing events in my past, so this isn't like the first time I've ever done a complicated event like this.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your history. How'd you end up here? Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to move to Sanibel. So let's hear your background.
Hear my story, right? So I have been coming to Sanibel since the early 80s. My parents came down here, built a house, and so I would visit. Had a lifelong dream to always eventually end up here. I sold real estate for 20 years. I was a nurse for 20 years and then decided just to retire and move down here. And somehow, when you have extra time and you say you're willing to volunteer and you raise your hand,
Right.
things start to happen.
Yes.
All of a sudden, the next thing I knew, I was chairing the Shell Show. So there you go.
My favorite saying is "you're voluntold."
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of volunteering, they're telling you you are
Exactly
you're
right.
now head of the Shell Show.
That's right.
That's funny.
Fantastic. So explain a little bit of the difference between the Shell Show and the festival.
So the festival is going to be held. What ends up happening is the Shell Club, Sanibel Captiva Shell Club, is who's sponsoring the Shell Show. The community house is the Sanibel Community House, and they are a separate nonprofit. So that group that typically in the past was out in the parking lot, they sold shells, they sold crafts that they made, the shell crafters on Sanibel that made. And so they functioned on the outside, we functioned on the inside of the house. So there are two nonprofits that were sort of in the same location, and many people didn't understand that it was really two different organizations.
Yes, I honestly did not know until a couple of years ago that you were two distinct organizations.
Yes, and our funds go in different places. So the funds that come from the community festival go to support the community house. Whatever we make in profit, generate an income, goes right back out the door in grants, and it goes out to environmental groups for water quality, mollusk research, like the Bailey Matthews National Shell Museum and Aquarium is a beneficiary, SCCF is. So we raise money so that we can give money back, and also we give money to FSW and FGCU, also are beneficiaries of some of our grants in the past.
Amazing.
Well, that's superb. We're going to be looking into that next week. Our next guests are going to be Captives for Clean Waters. So, yeah, we'll look forward to that.
Because clean water really affects mollusks. Mollusks are the animals inside that make the shells. Shells don't just happen. The animal pulls calcium out of the water and turns it into calcium carbonate and turns it into shells. So if we start having acidic water, they don't have the materials that they need to make the shell. And we're going to not have as many shells as we have unless we get our water quality under control.
Yeah.
So that's why we get involved in research.
Fantastic. And it's am I right? No, so we're very fortunate in this area. We got the National
Shell Museum.
Shell Museum, which is the only dedicated Shell Museum, as I understand it. There might be one in some far corner of the globe that nobody knows about.
In the world,
but it's supposed to be in the world, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we've got your event that goes on every year. So it really is a centre for shelling and all the rest of it.
And tell me why Sanibel is so great for shelling.
It's a geography lesson,
Yes,
actually.
it is.
It is. So typically, Florida runs north and south.
Yep.
Sanibel runs a bit east and west, curves up to the north at the end. And because of that, as the shells wash in, they sort of get caught on Sanibel, which we're thrilled about.
Yes, so it's kind of acts like a big natural scoop.
It does.
I guess.
It does.
And best times are after storms and heavy winds, obviously,
Low
low tides are pushing the shells.
And a lot of people don't understand, too, that people think that when the winds are coming onshore, that they're going to bring a lot of shells. It's actually the opposite. We like it better in the winter when the northern winds are coming, which is actually an offshore wind, pushes the water top over and it helps turn over the water and bring the shells back in. In the
Gotcha.
summertime, it actually, the onshore winds actually pull the shells back in. So it sounds crazy, a little counterintuitive, but it's the truth.
Right. So how did you find the shells after Hurricane Ian? I know everybody online was talking about, oh, it's a perfect time to come. Were you able to get out on the beach? I know you had damage to your...
I did. And so for several months, honestly, I was in...
You weren't even
was
thinking about it?
shell-shocked.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. I was shell-shocked. There we go, ding.
Okay.
And I was a little angry at the Gulf for ruining my home. And I really wasn't in a mood to go down and go shelling. I hate
understandable.
to say. And so it took me a little while. I went down and found some nice shells. I was glad to be able to do that because a lot of the accesses were closed and because I can literally walk to the beach.
Nice.
I had access earlier on.
Gotcha. So tell us about your best shell find.
Best shell find. Well, my best Sanibel shell find is probably a large lightning whelk that I found. That was just beautiful, beautiful colors. Not a Junonia on Sanibel, but I do have one. I do have one.
Now, did you purchase that one?
I did not. I found it down off Marco Island.
Oh, okay.
So I found one there. Let me go back. I'm going to change my mind and say I found a Scotch bonnet, and it was my first one, and I found it after Ian. In December.
Okay, so the
down
Gulf
by the
provided.
Lighthouse. It did. It sort of was Ian saying, "I'm sort of sorry about your house.
Right. Here's a Scotch
bonnet. Are we friends now?" And I'm like, "Maybe."
Maybe.
And there was actually record numbers of shells on the beaches after the storm. According to Captain Brian, our good friend, who's a...
Captain Brian Holloway.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, he does shell tours.
Exactly.
He was
He does.
unbelievable amount of shells.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Scotch bonnet. We talked about the Junonia. So there's three that everybody really tried to... What are the other?
I still haven't found a lion's paw.
Okay, yeah,
I'd
that's
probably
the
have
other
to go
one.
to Captiva and find that. So I haven't found one of those.
Oh, okay. Is they're more likely to be found on Captiva?
Yes, that seems like it.
I didn't
And
know
I don't know
that.
if it's because there was some dredging up there. I'm not sure why. They did a renourishment program a couple years ago, and I think that helps sort of bring some of them in,
That was
too.
one of our early podcast episodes was dedicated to the Captiva renourishment program.
Yes, that's
And then
right.
the hurricane came in and ruined it all.
Right, and now they're
So-
starting over again.
A little known fact, Junonias are found in waters that are 60 plus feet deep, so that takes you out about 60 miles offshore, or quite a ways offshore. And then when we were doing the beach renourishment, they were dredging offshore, bringing a lot of these shells that don't normally make it all the way in. They were giving them the helping hand, so there was record numbers being found for a short period of time.
Right, and that's why it makes them so special to be found, is because they literally have to roll and roll and roll and roll and roll a long way for it to get to the... And you can actually get your picture in the newspaper if you find one, so it's a big, big deal.
It is
So
a
if you're new to shelling, name the Holy Grails. What are they? I think we listed them: the lion's paw,
you get the horse conch? You want
Horse
lightning
conch.
whelk? Scotch bonnet, very special. Lion's paw. Junonia.
Right, do you consider the alphabet cone?
And I would
Not-
say a good alphabet cone's a good day.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They're a little bit more rare. Not as rare as a Junonia, but not as common certainly as a lightning whelk.
Right, exactly. Huh, interesting. So the Shell Club, you actually have meetings.
We did. We just had one this past Sunday.
Okay, so tell us about
Our first
that.
one of the year. Yep. We meet like in October, and we meet through season. So while more of our people are here, we have many who are snowbirds. So, but we also Zoom our meetings, so if people aren't quite here yet, they can Zoom in and see what's going on. So we usually have a guest speaker. This last time we had Dr. Leal from the museum talking about boring, which wasn't boring.
Okay, not
Shells.
boring, right? Okay, but shells that actually bore holes
Yes.
in other shells,
Yes,
I guess.
that's exactly right. And then we also had a silent auction where people could try to buy shells, back to buying shells again.
Right.
And then we had an oral auction. And a lot of camaraderie. People can bring their shells in and say, hey, I found something really special. I want to talk about it. And, of course, you've got the aficionados that are there, just excited to see it all.
All right. And where do you meet?
We are meeting at the rec center this year.
Okay, which is different. You used to meet at the community house, correct?
Right.
So another change that has
Yeah,
happened.
there are just all sorts of changes. But
Right.
we've just had to, maneuver and adapt and make things work.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're Zooming the meeting, apparently you could be a member if you live across the world.
We have members who are across the world. Yes. In fact, one of our exhibitors for the Shell Show is coming from Japan. And we understand
wow.
that there's going to be, and she's bringing 2 of her students and her husband, so we're excited to have her back. She's been here before, but it's been a few years with COVID and everything else. So she'll be back with 2 of her students, and they're going to actually sell some of their work, which is very exciting to think about.
And she's an artistic?
She'll be an artistic.
Okay, so to talk
Because she
about-
does Sailor Valentines. That's
Okay.
her specialty.
Right. So if anybody doesn't know, tell what a Sailor's Valentine is.
So Sailor's Valentine has a particular layout. It is in an 8-sided wooden box, and the shells are arranged in a certain way with cotton batting. I mean, they're very particular about how they are assembled and the patterns and things that they have to say on them. You can do a single, you can do a double, and they have different sizes as well. For this 2024, we're actually doing a Sailor's Valentine called an avant-garde. And that just means it can be something else. It could be 10-sided. It could be 5-sided. It could be something else, sort of looking like a Valentine, but not exactly the same.
Okay, so kind of like in fashion, if you have avant-garde fashion, you can go all over the board. So, oh, that'll be cool to see.
Something new and innovative.
Yes,
Cutting edge.
Love that. And what's the price? Do you have to have membership dues for your club?
The club is very inexpensive. It's $20 a year for an individual, and it's $25 a year for a family.
Wow.
Very, very affordable.
That's fair. So $5 to get in the show and $20 to actually become a member.
I know. Should not get in your way.
Exactly.
We also have a great newsletter called the Genonia.
Yeah.
And we put that out, and it has pictures, articles about shells, some of the research aspects, information about the shell show. So it's a great publication. We have a new editor this year, and we're excited about it.
So that comes with being
How often does that come out?
Comes out once a month.
And that comes with being a club member. You get the Genonia sent right to your mailbox.
It does.
Very cool.
Coming electronically, actually. I think we snail mail a few, but primarily it comes electronically.
Right. Gotcha.
So apart from the Japanese visitors, what else have we got to look forward to this year?
We also have, I think, an exhibit coming from Australia, which, again, I'm new enough, I don't know for sure, but I think that that's pretty darn exciting. I know in the 22 show, we had one of the world's most expensive shells. It was like a $30,000 shell.
Oh, wow.
So you just never know what's going to show up in these exhibits because they have until like February 1st to submit their entries. So until we get the entries, we don't always know what's coming in.
So an exhibit, some of them are actually scientific exhibits?
Yes, we had 2 divisions, the artistic, where they're creating with shells, and then we also have scientific, and that's really where the learning and educational piece comes in. Some of our scientific exhibitors will tell the story of a growth pattern. They may show, a very tiny horse conch all the way up to a large horse conch and talk about how they grow and how old they are. Or they could do a variety of different shells. Or we also have a newer class about the environment. And so if they want to do an exhibit that talks about how water quality affects our shells, that would be in that environmental kind of class.
Are there any younger people getting into this?
We actually have student categories in both artistic and scientific, and there are a couple of local families who are really into shelling, and I think both of them are homeschooled. I know at least one of them for sure is homeschooled. And so looking for shells, creating, researching is all part of their homeschooling, in addition, of course, everything else. And they are really up and coming. And really, for this shell show to continue until it's been around for 100 years or more, we need an influx of the younger people to get involved and get excited about it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And what a great thing to do with a family. I mean, it's free.
That's right.
You literally walk out on the beach.
It's like an Easter egg every day you go out. You just never know what you're going to find.
Exactly. That's very cool. Love it.
And it's free, like you said. And you get to see beautiful parts of our country that way.
Yeah. Have you been anywhere else for shelling? Obviously, Marco, you said.
I've been over in Vietnam, did a little bit of shelling over there. And go to Marco. I've been all around the state of Florida. I did a tour 2 years ago on my own. I just went all up and down the west coast of Florida and hit about 8 different beaches, just trying to see the differences in the kind of shells. Started in the Panhandle and sort of worked my way down, and it was interesting to see how the different shells started sort of changing over until you're like, yep, I'm pretty close to Southwest Florida because I recognize all those shells. Huh. But they have different shells in different areas, even just within the state of Florida.
Oh yeah,
wow.
Interesting. Well, you think Florida is so long, isn't it?
It is a long state.
Yeah. I want to know about this $30,000 shell. What was it, and what makes it so expensive?
Oh, now you're going to put me in the spot. I'm supposed to remember that.
Right, the scientific name,
tiny.
please.
I know. Oh, yeah. Well, I won't have that. But it was actually really, really tiny. They had to put it into something that magnified it because it was so small.
Yeah.
But I think they obtained it at an auction.
Huh.
So.
Looks like Max is looking it up.
Right, Max. Maybe we'll put a.
Research division is doing its work.
All right, good.
The artistic, they also do like bouquets too, don't they? Out of
Flowers.
shells.
Flowers are very common. The Sailor's Valentines, probably the most classes that we have are the Sailor's Valentines. But we also have photography. We have artwork. If people paint, they do needlework. And we have crafts for holidays. We have mirrors, wreaths. We have all sorts of things.
And I think, do you sell the actual bouquets after the show too, or during the show? I thought I remember that.
So we have two, within artistic, we have hobbyist, which are people who do this just literally as a hobby, and then you have the professionals. Now, once you sell, let's say you create a Sailor's Valentine, and if you sell it as a hobbyist, you now have become a professional. And you have to compete against the professionals.
Okay.
So a lot of the hobbyists don't like to sell their things until they're really ready to move on into that professional kind of level of quality. It's really for the hobbyists to have fun and just create. But once you become professional, they can sell their items. You just can't get them until after the show's over. But they put their business cards out if they want to sell.
Right. Okay. I remember that table was really popular.
Yes.
There were lots of people trying to buy that, and they're so cool. They're amazing.
Well, and this year too, we're going to have a lot more vendors than we typically have. So in the past, we had 4 different vendor tables, and that was really all we had room for.
Smaller.
Because it was a smaller venue. And then Donald Dan had a table where he did sell some specimen shells also. For 2024, we're going to have, I think we're up to about 16 different vendors who will be selling not only creations that they've made, there might be some gently used books. We're not doing an author's table like we've done in the past where they would sign and talk to them. We've just got a few books. But we'll have shells, and then there are several of the booths. I'm not even sure exactly what they're bringing, but they're excited about coming, and they're going to sell their wares. I know one woman creates birdhouses with shells, and so I think she's going to bring some of those to sell.
That's cool. So who's Donald Dan?
Donald Dan is a Shell Club member, a longtime Shell dealer, very knowledgeable about shells, and he sort of worked in partnership with the Shell Club to help us obtain different shells, and he would help us sell them at our shows. So he'll have his own booth this year. We're going to have a jeweler. We have probably 2 or 3 different booths that are selling jewelry, shell-related jewelry.
Very cool. Wow, definitely worth the $5 admission, I think.
And honestly, it was obviously it's been a little bit different the last couple of years because of the exceptions, but it always used to. It was packed on the island, wasn't it, for around that period?
It's really busy.
Yeah.
And that, if you think about it, really having it at the Marriott will help a little bit with some of the traffic congestion because I think we all thought that the bridge was going to be done, the causeway was going to be done, and now I think we're understanding it's not going to be done. And to try to get all those people across the bridge for the show is just going to be difficult. So for us, people won't have to pay to park, and they won't have to pay a toll to go to come to our show.
Excellent, and there's plenty of parking there too.
There is.
Yeah, fantastic.
We will definitely be going.
Yeah.
Will you have different things the 2 different days? So
no, pretty much the same. It's just it's to be able to get all the people through. So we had over 3,000 people come to our show in 2022 in person, and so we're figuring there's some pent up demand because we didn't have a show for 23, even though we've lost some of the housing across the way in Sanibel. We think that people will still book and stay in Fort Myers and then come to the shows. So we anticipate having even more than we usually do.
I think we're going to get the word out for you.
I know. I'm excited about it.
Let everybody know they need to get down here.
Yeah.
That's so
cool. All
cool.
right, Max, do you have any trivia for us?
I have some shell-based trivia.
Well, that's not fair because Linda's an expert.
Not necessarily.
That's the whole point.
I couldn't even tell you the most rare
Your
shells,
mom's our
so I don't
80th
know.
trivia round.
Here's your
Thank you.
our
I
official boards.
try to lean towards the guest expertise. So.
Yes, that's good.
All right. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
That's
It's
a
like
lot.
4.5. There's one that's a good double barrel question.
Oh, man. All right, let's go.
Okay. Question 1. The Junonia is named after the goddess Juno. Mm-hmm. What ancient culture worshipped Juno?
Okay.
I don't
Is it
have an in on
ancient
this
culture?
one. I don't have an in on this.
Oh. Are you writing anything, Nick? Are you just contemplating?
Okay, I'm going to put the only thing I could think of. and I've spelled it wrong as well.
All right. Do you want to tell us what it is?
Yeah,
If we can
Calusas.
show everybody.
No, why? I've put 2 L's in it, and it doesn't have 2 L's
I
in it.
don't know. I bet the Romans. I don't know.
I said Greece.
Did you say the Calusas?
Yeah, is that not wrong? Is that right? Sorry.
The answer is Romans.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Very
Oh, a bigger body of people.
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to say the Calusas.
And
Mum wanted to, if that wasn't bad enough, Mum wanted to make fun of my actual spelling of it as well. Just to bury me completely.
I changed at the last minute. I had Greek too. So, whew.
Romans.
Yeah.
The Greek version of Juno is Hera. Juno and Hera were the queens of the gods in Greek and Roman culture.
I'll file that one away.
Yes. So I'm sure we
respectively.
learned that sometime in school.
I'm sure.
Okay.
No.
Question 2. The largest shell ever was found in 1817 in Indonesia, Sumatra, on the northwestern coast, and belongs to what species?
What?
What species is the largest shell ever?
Okay.
Can I draw it?
Sure.
This is not Pictionary. But I would like to see the drawing.
Well,
You can
would.
draw it
Yeah.
for 0 points. I'll give you 1/10 of a point if you draw it right.
He is really drawing. That looks like a worm.
You're cheating.
She's already got her answer
But
done.
my answer is down.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it.
All right, push him for an answer, Max.
5
This is
seconds?
dragging
I
on.
don't know. I picked one up and I put it in the back of a trunk and put my back out in Pine Island.
Oh,
Remember?
that's right. Yeah, you
It
did.
was about 300 pounds and it was about this big.
Yeah, somebody bought one and you had to help him
And
load
I
it in the
You
truck.
don't
foolishly
remember what it's
offered.
called?
I foolishly offered to help him put them in the car, and I pulled my back out.
It's never been the same.
I don't remember what it was.
I put a conch.
No.
I put Trident.
No.
A clam?
It is the giant clam.
Yes, that was what it was.
Yes.
A giant clam.
Giant
Based on what
clam.
you were saying, and you
Yeah.
had your hands like this, that's about all it
That's
could be.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I would tell you how big it was, but actually you're going to guess how big it is. How big is the largest shell ever found? 2 points. 1 for closest in size and 1 for closest in weight. So you're going to guess both.
Okay, so the largest clam. Okay.
So the
I'm
length
saying-
and the
okay.
weight in feet, length in feet,
Okay.
weight in pounds. We call this the imperial system.
Really?
Okay, I got it. I feel a point coming on. What are you laughing at?
I don't know. That seems way high.
Well,
for me.
if I picked one up that was about 300 pounds, it might have been 200. There's got to be way bigger than that.
All right, tell us your answers.
All right,
then.
you
Why
first,
do
Deb.
you want me to go
All right,
first?
well, let
I'll
Linda go first.
Yeah.
All right, so I said 6.5 feet,
Okay.
and I said 470 pounds.
Okay,
Okay.
I said 4 feet and 120 pounds.
I said 6.5 feet. Great minds think alike. But I said it was 950 pounds.
Ooh,
Okay. 1 point to Linda is 510 pounds.
Oh,
Was
okay.
the correct answer. And 1 point to Mom because it was 4.5 feet.
Yes,
4.5 foot shell at 510 pounds.
that's huge.
This is like a bad dream. It's like everybody's ganging up on me.
All right. Does anyone know how many points everyone has?
Yeah, I have 4.
Wait.
Yeah,
Mom has
0.
1.
No, I think I have 2 because I got the Romans.
you got Roman.
Yeah,
Cheating.
and Linda has
yeah,
1.
so Mom has 2
Cheating.
and Linda has 1.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Last question / challenge.
7 points on
In
this one.
20 seconds, write down 5 different species of shell.
Gosh. What?
I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it while I start the timer. No one writing. Erase it.
Sorry.
Oh,
Erase it.
sorry.
I think make it 5 seconds. 10 seconds
Ready,
would be too
and go.
torturous for the viewers.
18, 17. 10. 5. 0.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Linda, what have you got?
I sort of cheated a little bit because I went with some classes. So I said gastropod, and I
Okay.
said bivalve. I said scallop, conch, and an olive.
Okay.
I
don't know what species means, so that could be right.
I had conch, a whelk, an olive, and a sand dollar, which I don't know if a sand dollar is a species or not.
It is
Okay, so
not.
wah.
It's an echinoderm,
Oh,
which is not a mollusk.
now you're
Come
showing
on, Laura,
off.
it's an
Well, I know some stuff.
It's an echinoderm.
Sand dollar's not a
Come on.
shell?
It is not a mollusk shell. It is an echinoderm.
Oh, we're learning a lot.
Mom, I'll give you the point.
Okay,
Thank you.
I've got this. The acronym for it is Jawuklamak, and it's Junonia whelk clam mussel trumpet.
How many letters was that?
5.
And you didn't write them out?
No.
Or you just don't want to show us how you spelled them?
What's a
There you go.
Is there such thing as a trumpet?
There's a
Linda,
trumpet.
There's a
There's a
trumpet.
trumpet.
Oh, okay.
I think we all took different ways to get to the conclusion. But I also didn't know how to determine what a species was
No, I
versus
didn't
something
know.
else. So I think everyone gets a point there.
Yay! Since you are the commissioner of trivia.
Yes, as Commissioner of Trivia, I'll give you all points.
And was that
And
it?
I think you win, Mom.
Hey! Woo!
Congrats.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Oh my goodness. All right. So tell everybody where they can find what's your website. I know you have social media. Tell us all the deets.
Right. So if you want to register to join the club, become a member, you can go to the SanibelShellClub.com. You can also become a sponsor. We're looking for sponsors for our show, and you can become a sponsor on there. If you want to be a vendor and sell your stuff, reach out to me through the Shell Club. I'd be happy to help there. And no prepayment of any tickets ahead of time. You don't have to buy tickets ahead of time. We'll be at the Marriott collecting the $5 per head donation. Oh, I forgot about our T-shirts. We also have cool T-shirts that we're going to
Okay.
have. So
Yeah.
we're
Every
selling
year.
those too.
That's right. Every year
It's a
they're
different
different, aren't
shirt.
they? Yes.
Yep.
So that's neat. And does everybody get a little bag of shells when they come in?
We do give out a bag of shells.
Okay.
Yeah, one per family.
Per
So,
family,
yes.
which is kind of a fun
Little
thing too.
souvenir
So
thing,
$5 and you get a free bag of shells.
do.
Wow. Okay. And then social media. Do you have that as well?
We have social media all over the place. We have Instagram. We have our own Shell Club Facebook page. We also have our own web page. And then we've been cross-posting pretty much everywhere.
Right.
So this show has been going for nearly 100 years.
It will. By the time I'm done, it'll be 100
100
years.
years. There you go.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to be
Oh,
around
you
for a
are-
while.
one of the
Okay.
most famous in the world. So
When did
make
it start?
sure.
Yes.
Didn't it officially start?
Well, it would have been about 86 years ago.
Right.
86 years ago.
Which they
About
said
86 years
it
ago.
used to start on the porches of like
It
the
started on the-
Cassie Resort
Yes.
and Island Inn.
And people just brought their shells and said, oh, here's some cool shells I found. And it sort of started from that, way
Right.
back when.
And I actually read on your website that there was a hurricane in 1944 that wiped out all the records of the shows. So,
So that's why it's a little squishy on the dates, you know.
Right.
So
But-
we've been around a long time, and it was just so important to us to continue the tradition of the Sanibel Shell Show. Since we did lose 21 to COVID, we lost 23 to Ian, so we just didn't want to miss out, and we wanted to make sure that we had a nice, big, solid, wonderful show.
I think it's going to be
Well,
great.
fantastic. Thanks very much for joining us, Linda. It's been a pleasure having you.
It's been fun.
And guys, if you like this sort of content, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Where we'll be having lots more podcasts coming up. So thanks very much for joining us, and have a great day. You're whistling in the background, Max.
Oh, jeez.
Who's
That was
feeding back?
whistling. I don't know. Maybe, I think I
I
just
don't
did it. 950 pounds?
I think, this is really heavy.